And welcome again to TheNonProphets. I'm your host, Jeff D. My co-host is Denis Loubet.
Howdy. Our
quite astonishingly talented and speedy producer, Russell Glasser. We are live, June 19, 2004. Pay no attention to any audio you may have heard before picking up this broadcast. There was a slightly awkward start to the show today, but nothing we can't fix in the backup version.
Indeed.
On demand from the website. So if you're not listening to this live, you don't even know what I'm talking about. Atheist Charities is an organization of helping hands to empower and educate those in need without imposing the chains of religion. Check out www.atheistcharities.com. If you hear about slurs, defamation, or discrimination against atheists, write up everything you know about the incident and send it to ombuds@atheism.org. The Heart of the Beholder Film Project needs your support. Plenty of information at www.beholder.com. That's all our standard announcements. I have something that I want to talk about.
Uh-oh.
Don't yet, please.
Don't yet.
Yeah, I'd like to go make a phone call.
Are we? So I'll just keep the show going then, shall I?
Anything really important?
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh boy. Well, let me talk to you. This isn't what I was going to talk about, but let's talk about the raw aliens, shall we?
Sure.
Is everybody familiar with the raw aliens?
Is that actually how it's pronounced?
I'm not sure. The Raelians,
Raelians, yeah, who knows?
They're these guys who worship space aliens.
Yeah.
But that's crazy, you say, because...
Well, it's more likely than gods, but yeah, sure.
But there aren't any aliens that we know of.
That we know of.
What are they doing worshiping them? And that makes them basically in the same boat as theists.
Yes, they are in the same boat as theists.
Worshipping something that they cannot see.
Yes.
But which they take on faith.
Yes.
Because they're dim-witted, washed-up race car driver and from all reports, sexually adventurous leader who goes by the moniker Rail or Ryle. I guess it's Rail.
Rail, sure, whatever.
Told them so.
Well, cool.
Okay, here's the problem.
Yeah?
They're trying to pass themselves off as atheists.
Ooh.
Now,
okay, that's
I shouldn't say it that way, because technically they are atheists. If they say they don't believe in gods.
Right.
But they do believe...
But they worship something.
Yeah, but it's not. They don't call it gods. And I say worship. Maybe that's going too far.
Okay.
Now I got to backpedal. Try to be.
Save your point. Save your point.
Try to be as fair to these morons as I can. Yeah, they believe that humanity exists because space aliens created us.
Okay.
Right. And we've talked about them before on the show when they poked their unwanted noses into the whole evolution creationism issue.
Yeah.
On the side in favor of teaching intelligent design theory.
Because
for obvious
aliens
reasons
are involved.
They believed intelligent aliens created mankind. And so obviously evolution can't be true. Because aliens created us.
And every other species?
I don't know. I don't know if they go that far. Don't really know. Don't really care.
If evolution is the result, resulted in all the other species, then why not have it result in man? Why are aliens needed?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. They believe that there are some. So they call themselves atheists.
We're fine, by the way.
Are we? We're fine?
Our stream is fine.
I'm glad that we're fine. Have we always been fine?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
I'm sure that I started hearing...
It is in my nature to panic about this stuff.
Nah.
Maybe
But that's what makes you so good, Russell.
Maybe the lag is negative today, and that's why you started hearing voices early. We're actually getting our voices before we say stuff.
Well, that's why you make the big bucks, man.
If it's possible to hear stuff before we say it, then prophecy is possible. And the whole title of our show is thrown into, into suspicion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what are these Raelians doing? That piss you off?
Do you know that the Raelians declared 2004 the year of atheism? They did.
Well,
They declared it the year of atheism.
It's good that someone did, right?
No.
No?
No, it's not good for just anybody to do that. Because these guys, they believe in space aliens.
They're kooks.
They have a space alien religion.
But that doesn't mean that atheists can't be kooks.
Well, it doesn't mean we can't believe in aliens either.
That's true. That's the thing. They are, in fact, technically atheists. Yeah. So, when I recently received an email...
Well, but I mean, Carl Sagan sort of believed in aliens. He didn't assume that they were definitely out there, but he thought
there's different ways of doing it. Just like there's different ways of believing in gods, right?
Right.
If you believe there are gods in the sense of things people have called gods, that's not crazy. There are things that people have called gods. Now, I believe in them that way.
Sure.
Right? There are those things. And when on the subject of space aliens, if you simply want to say, well, it's not scientifically implausible that there might be other life forms that evolved on other planets according to the same basic
principles that we evolved here. Sure.
Fine, no problem, right? That's different from saying
there are them.
We believe that they came down and created humanity in spite of the evidence to the contrary because our washed-up race car driver leader that likes to have sex with as many young cultist girls as he can tells us so.
I have no argument with the sex part. That sounds really good.
I'm just giving a full description of the man.
Okay.
All right. So when I recently received an emailing from the Raelian Public Relations Department announcing the year of atheism and saying atheism is great and people that attack atheists are bad and all that kind of stuff, things that I genuinely agree with, I sent them a letter.
Mm-hmm.
This was the letter I sent to the Raelians. I'm sure I speak for all rational atheists when I say, please shut up about atheism. You may be atheists, but if you merely exchange belief in an unproven God for belief in unproven space aliens, then you have no clue why being an atheist makes sense. Believe whatever you like, but please stop embarrassing every other atheist on the planet. Okay? Thanks. P.S. That whole hoax where you folks claimed to have cloned somebody, that was extremely lame. Signed, Jeff D., board member, Atheist Community of Austin. Okay. Here's the response I got from Middle East Press Release.
Middle East
Press Release wrote,
okay.
Hi, asshole. Who the hell you think you are to talk on the name of all national atheists, Mr. Nobody?
Okay.
Now, cut the guy some slack, because he's in the Middle East. English probably not the first language.
Right.
Still, there's a tone here that I find somewhat surprising from a public relations department.
Yeah, well.
I respond. I'm mixing my responses now into the lines of text from the letter I got back from him. I said, 1, I am an atheist. 2, I am on the board of directors of the Atheist Community of Austin, one of the largest local atheist organizations in the United States. And 3, I didn't say national, I said rational. But who are you Raelians to proclaim a year of atheism? Only a tiny percentage of atheists agree with your space alien beliefs. That makes you the lunatic fringe nobodies as far as atheists are concerned. Back to the public relations guy. You don't even know what it is to be an atheist. Have a look at you dictionary, ignorant.
That's true. You've never been a plural.
Me either.
Have a look at you dictionary, ignorant. Atheist. People who don't believe in God. Yeah, this is me now. You can tell when I change the voices.
Yeah.
Yes, I know what atheist means. I thought I made it clear that I was one. I'll take your word for it that you Raelians are atheists too. You're just not rational atheists, which makes you an embarrassment for the rest of us. That is why I asked you to please shut up about atheism. We will continue sending our emails to all atheists organization, either you like it or not. More especially if you don't like it. Hi, hi, hi.
Perhaps that should have been
lost in the translation. Yeah. Ha, ha,
and there's now, but he uses a smiley here, which throws me because a smiley is, on my understanding, the smiley is "ha, just kidding."
Yeah, supposed to diffuse. No, I don't think so. I think you put the smiley there as "hi, I'm laughing, ha ha ha" at you.
Fine, and I will share your response with all of the atheist organizations I know, so they can see how the Raelian Public Relations Department responds to fellow atheists. Unless you ask in polite way, your address will be removed. Well, please do remove me from your mailing list. You must be the same idiot type like your bloody president IPAJ equals ignorant patriotic American jerk. How long have you been doing this public relations job? Do you think they'll let you keep it very much longer the way you insult people all the time?
Really?
Now, of course, I was insulting.
Yeah.
I'm not a frickin' public relations department. So, now, I sort of have a reason for, apart from amusement, sort of have a reason for bringing this up. There's something else that's been bothering me, a deeper issue, been annoying the hell out of me, and it's recently become a much bigger deal to me.
Tell us about it, Jeff.
Apart from the Raelians.
Yeah.
And here I'm making excuses already. Apart from the aliens, you know what drives me crazy?
What?
Drives me crazy when atheist organizations can't get along.
Well,
I'm making
human nature.
You know, if I was interested in tricking people into just agreeing with me, then I wouldn't have ever brought up the Raelian thing, because there are clearly atheists out there that need to be smacked down hard.
Right.
Right? But there's all kinds of atheist organizations out there that are not the Raelians, right?
Yeah.
They're not insane. They're not, wildly irrational.
Mm-hmm.
That are getting smacked down hard and don't really deserve it, in my opinion.
By who?
By their fellow atheists. For example, the Brights.
Yeah?
The Brights.
The Brights.
What do they do?
Have a name that annoys some people.
Friends of
now, let me
Richard
just,
Dawkins and Daniel Dennett.
I'm making a set of scales here with my two hands weighing these two issues, right? Have a name that annoys some people.
Right.
Believe humanity was created by space aliens. Doesn't that put things in perspective?
Yeah.
Instead of people going out of their way to find reasons to attack Brights, and you may not be seeing this a lot, Dennis, but I read a lot of the,
Yeah, I'm not
literature.
seeing that, but you are, yeah.
Like I remember when it came up in Skeptical Inquirer.
Mm-hmm.
Or it may have been Free Inquiry. Probably Free Inquiry. They did an episode on the Brights, right? Talking about the new organization.
Mm-hmm.
Letting guys from the Brights, state their case, explain where they're coming from, what they're doing, what they're trying to accomplish, right? Very next issue was the issue where the editorial staff says pretty much, we're trying to be fair and equitable and give everybody a fair hearing here, but we didn't receive one letter in support of the Brights. We received a huge ton of email attacking the Brights because of that name.
Right.
Right. I'm just tired of that.
Tired of what?
I'm tired of that knee-jerk reaction. He's not an atheist, he's an agnostic. He's not an atheist, he's a humanist.
Right.
Right?
What?
Or humanists going,
Are you objecting to labels?
I'm
what?
objecting to the hostility. I'm objecting to the hostility. I'm tired of it. Don't we have more important things to do? Like, for example, smacking down the Raelians really hard.
Yeah.
We're all we are basically all in the same, on the same side here. And yet I just see over and over and over indications of atheists getting bent way too far out of shape by simple differences in emphasis, right, and terminology. Tired of it.
Well,
so name me the group of people that are basically atheists that you don't like.
The problem is the rational atheists are all hung up on terminology and stuff because when we make our arguments, they have to be precise and carefully laid out and all this stuff, and we don't want to be perceived as smacking of emotional appeal.
Right.
And probably people perceive the Brights as an emotional appeal, a pride sort of thing. And it's like,
yeah. Right. No, but as far as I know, apart from, and I've read the literature on the Bright site. In fact, I signed up. When they put up that website, I signed up. I said, I don't think this is going to work because I've seen all too often atheists turning on one another over the teeniest, tiniest of excuses. And I know a lot of people don't like this name.
Yeah.
But I signed up on their website in support, right? But I've read their literature. They never say, we're great on account of we got this name. They say, here are the rational arguments, right?
Yeah.
We're proud of being the people that have those rational arguments. Here is our name that we can be proud of.
Well, the only problem I have with the Bright appellation is that, well, anyone can claim it.
Sure, but that's true of anything. I mean, the
Raelians are an example of people claiming they're atheists. And they are.
Well,
technically, they are.
Right. So, I mean...
But any kook jerk can claim he's a Bright. The problem is Bright means nothing in that case.
Yeah, but don't you think that any term has that? I mean, any...
No. If you're a PhD, that means... Usually it means you graduated from a college.
Yeah, is there some trustworthy independent organization out there officially declaring people atheists? There isn't, right? I mean, obviously there's risks. Like, if you go to, to whitehouse.com is the... Whitehouse.org is the fake one?
Well,
what's the fake one?
Whitehouse.com, I think, is a porn site.
Porn site.
And Whitehouse.org is the joke that's run by Landover Baptist.
Okay. See, I mean, there's people latching on to a term and using it to make fun. And that sort of thing, for example, could happen with Brights. But it could happen with atheists. It could happen with agnostics. It could happen with humanists. I don't worry about that. Right? I mean, obviously, no matter what term you have, there's going to be people that misuse it or use it for their own purposes. There's nothing you can do to stop that.
Okay, here's a weird observation.
The question is,
here's a weird and horrible observation.
All right.
Atheist is usually, in our God-soaked culture, a derogatory term.
Yeah.
And so no one wants to be an atheist.
Oh, I do.
In our soaked culture, no one wants to be called an atheist.
Yes.
But everyone wants to be Bright. And so there is a fundamental difference there.
Yeah, but there is an official organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is now an official organization, and the official organization has,
precedent. Right. Can they kick people out?
No, they
can they say, you're not Bright?
I'm sure that they have their official membership roles, and they can kick you off their official membership roles.
Cool, okay.
That's as much power as any organization.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, they can do that.
Okay.
I mean,
That works then. That addresses my problem.
Oh, okay, sure.
I didn't know they had a list of...
Yeah, they got a website, they got an organization.
Okay.
In fact, I'm using this sort of to encompass several of the news stories I brought in today, one of which is Bright's call for pledge activism.
All right.
Good for them.
The Brights sent out an email. This came out just before the Supreme Court's ruling on the pledge.
Right.
Saying, contact as many of your representatives and pertinent public officials at local, state, and national levels as you can to let them know that you plan to watch their response to the pledge decision. Tell them you have criteria in mind that you intend to apply to evaluate their reaction, and that you will definitely use your evaluation in any future consideration of them for their positions. This email announcement that I got a copy of goes on for a couple of pages. Right. I'm sure you can find more about their pledge activism Activision would be a
Activision.
computer game company. Their pledge activism at their URL, which, Russell, you got for me, right?
The Brights site, www.the-brights.net.
Thank you.
Cool.
Now, that's entirely rational, right? That doesn't say, contact your representatives and tell them, you're bright and they'd better listen to you.
Right.
Right? And in fact, it's a darn good effort to try to organize, and I hope that they got some mileage out of that. I'm glad that that organization is out there doing stuff like this.
That's cool.
We should be applauding them
Right.
for existing and doing this kind of stuff. And anybody out there that has a big issue with the Brights, take a deep breath, accept that there are going to be different people that use slightly different terminology for things, and recognize them for the good that they do, and think whether there are really big enough issues there to justify the kind of hostility I keep encountering.
Right. With the few atheists that there are.
Now, we got something going on right in our own hometown here of Austin, Texas.
Right here in River City?
That we've been sitting on for weeks.
Yeah. And we're going to spill the beans a bit prematurely because, well, Russell and I are both on the ACA Board of Directors. And there's a big meeting of the ACA Board tomorrow to discuss this issue. But we're both going to be out of town. And we know that there are members of the ACA that listen to our show, and this is our way of sharing our opinions with our fellow ACA members. I hope this isn't too dull for those of you not involved with our group, but maybe you can find some interest here in terms of, the inner workings of other organizations and what's going on, and just how bad and dangerous it is for these knee-jerk anti, not exactly the same kind of atheist as me attitudes.
Right.
Okay, where do we start?
Well, we could start by saying who CFI is.
Yeah, why don't you do that? And also move closer to your mic, don't you think?
Okay. I'm not...
It's not my practice to tell you how to deal with the technical issues in the show, but you seem to be about a yard away.
CFI is a national organization. It's short for the Center for Inquiry. And by the way, I'm not prepared to do this, so
that's all right.
Jump in and help me fill in the blanks here.
That's all right.
They first came into contact with us, what would you say, about half a year ago?
Yeah, or more. It's been brewing for a while.
They are essentially a humanist free thinker organization.
Yeah.
Which they don't refer to themselves as atheists, but we've been told by...
They agree that they are atheists.
They are atheists.
They don't use that word for strategic reasons.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The founder is Paul Kurtz.
Yeah, and a little more background here. These are the guys who publish The Skeptical Inquirer,
which is an excellent magazine that's been around for many years.
Free Inquiry magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Another very fine thing. And they have centers for inquiry. The first one was in Buffalo, New York, and they have several others around the country now. I know there's one in Florida, one in California. Are there more than that?
I don't know.
I know of at least those.
Not sure. Do you know if their website is cfi.org?
I do not know.
I guess. I don't know.
I do not know.
They're international, actually, right? Don't
That's
they have
correct.
a division
That's
in
right.
The Middle East somewhere?
They have several overseas branches.
Yeah.
And their members include extremely esteemed people such as Richard Dawkins would be the first one off the top of my head.
Dawkins, Carl Sagan.
Yeah, well, he's not a member now.
Well, nor is Steve Allen. Steve Allen was another major
comedian, right?
Yes, comedian. Yes. Steve Allen, also dead, also former member of the Center for Inquiry. Paul Kurtz is a philosophy professor,
right?
So this is like a major organization, been around for a long time. Very professional, has done wonderful good things.
Very professional. We had our initial meeting with them several months ago,
Yeah,
And
nobody knows yet why we had this meeting.
right.
We should tell them that, probably, before we...
What they plan to open a branch in Austin, which
but more specifically...
we have encouraged.
More specifically, since they still have not made an official announcement, they wanted to open another branch. They were considering a number of different locations. Austin was one of them, right? And it's like, okay, guys, tell us why we should come to Austin, right?
So we did. We took them down to a great big dinner bash at the Salt Lick, which is some killer Texas barbecue. And if you guys haven't had Texas barbecue, that's a reason to come down here and hang out with us.
Right.
And we gave them our pitch, which was basically, we have a whole bunch of dedicated members. We have one of the most active social organizations in the country.
Right. We got an audio show.
We got an audio show.
We got a local access TV show.
Which is used as a model by many, maybe that's going a little far. But a lot of people have looked at our show and said, wow, why do they have such a great show?
Yes, I experienced this personally myself when I was out at the... press conference hosted by the American Atheists in Washington, D.C.
The Day That Counts.
The Day That Counts. That was protesting the Bush administration's whole faith-based initiative thing. I was there as a representative of the ACA and met several people during that thing that had heard about our TV show and wanted to know, what all we did and how it was done. And so forth. So, I mean, not to toot our own horn too much, but we've done a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a live call-in TV show with a lot of funny arguments. You guys heard it, actually, a few months ago when I played an episode with Jeff over the regular show.
Oh, cool.
So anyway, they came here, and their proposal was not only to create a CFI branch here, but to actually turn the Atheist Community of Austin into a CFI branch.
Right. And, the reasoning, I think, is clear and simple, right? Why would we want to split Austin between multiple competing organizations, right? You got the ACA, which is a bunch of local atheists that do all kinds of cool stuff, a primarily social organization, and CFI that does more, conferences and press releases and, that kind of professional, upfront atheist activism. And it seems like a natural thing. Why not have one organization, right?
Right.
Plus, part of the issue is opening up one of these centers costs money.
Yes.
Right? And we have some money. Our organization has been stockpiling. I don't think we should give the number, but our organization has been stockpiling. Anybody who's in the ACA can find out how much.
Right.
We've been stockpiling money. We have one member in particular who has been very generous with his contributions to the organization, and we've been building up this cash with the plan of eventually having a building of our own. Right?
Plans that haven't really gotten off the ground for a long time.
Plans that have not gotten off the ground. We seem to have, and I'm airing the ACA's dirty laundry here. In my opinion, our organization has stalled out. We reached a certain number of members. We continue to have our social meetings, but...
We continue to have board meetings discussing
but not a lot of stuff gets done. And... here's the opportunity to take all of us, slide us over into under the heading of a bigger, larger international organization that does get a lot of stuff done, under whose umbrella we could continue to do all the social things we're good at.
And they absolutely get a huge amount of stuff done. If you can track down their website, they have all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, there was a very small number of people on our side of things who get on CNN ever, right? And among them, there's like Barry Lynn from Americans United, right? And then there's guys from CFI. Pretty much entirely that's it. It's the only ones I've ever seen. And my apologies to anybody out there that has had occasional appearances or one-time appearances.
Here, the address is centerforinquiry.net.
Okay. no offense. I'm just saying, occasionally watching CNN, that's what I see. I see that those guys are the people that have gotten themselves enough exposure to be, voices for our point of view in the media.
The initial contact we had with them when we received when they gave their presentation was really interesting. It was all about that crackpot who writes the Left Behind series. Do you remember his name?
Tim LaHaye.
Tim LaHaye.
Oh, boy.
God, that's a scary guy. And you may not know that he does a lot more than just write books. He is planning...
Torture small animals? Oh, we don't know that.
I wouldn't be surprised. But he is basically trying to engineer a revolution, I think. He's a very large amount of the backing behind the religious right movement, political movement in the country, I would say.
Well, he's got the money, His books are so popular.
So, how did that come up? Oh, yeah.
So we saw a film on what this guy does.
Right.
And we got a very entertaining presentation about just how crazy it all is and the specific steps they're taking to combat this sort of thing as one of the many things that CFI does. Yeah. Which we think is great.
Cool. Yeah, and I'll mention, when I first started at going to ACA meetings, there were about a dozen people, old, unhappy people for the most part, furtively meeting in the corner of this little bagel shop, literally terrified that if the Christians found out what they were doing, they would burst in through the doors with machine guns and mow them all down. Right? Well, I was there when some younger people started showing up with ideas, like, hey, we could do a public access TV show. And the reaction was like, oh, no, we don't want to be so high profile. Mm-hmm. And for a while there, I stopped going to the ACA meetings. I said, man, nothing is happening here. Plus, this doesn't seem to be accomplishing anything. This organization is not going out and making any impact that's going to make the world a better place. Right. Meanwhile, the University Skeptical Society started up at the University of Texas at Austin. And Dennis and I, for about a year and a half, for about a year and a half, even though we're not students and could not be members of university organizations, we'd every week go down there and participate in their meetings.
This must be way before I even arrived in Austin.
Yeah, it was. Okay.
And that was cool.
But the University Skeptical Society is not about atheism. It's about science and reason and rationalism, right? And critical thinking.
Right.
The things that are the right reasons to be an atheist. The stuff that the Raelians don't seem to understand. And that's, again, the stuff that the Center for Inquiry focuses on, right? Oh, well, people should pray because here's evidence that prayer actually works. Well, let's investigate that. Is that really true? That's what those guys do. Right?
And no, it isn't.
Yeah, I think the important thing, what to me is attractive about
something every day.
Yeah.
What to me is attractive about being an atheist is it's nice to be right.
Yeah.
And there's two ways to get the sensation that you're right. One is by actually doing the research and finding out the facts and being right. And the other way is to, believe in an invisible friend who automatically makes you right.
Right.
So, to me, what the CFI is for and stands for is what it's really all about. Those are the issues, right? How to think properly, how to evaluate evidence, how to tell the difference between fact and fantasy. Because you get that taken care of, you're an atheist by default. That is where the evidence leads.
That's right.
Right.
So, here's this organization.
The point we want to make is that this is not some kind of fly-by-night organization that just walked in one day and said, "Hey guys, give us all your money and we'll make stuff happen for you."
Yes, money. Let's talk about that money some more.
Stuff happen.
Let's talk about that money some more. So another reason we gave them, right, or that came up. I don't know if we can analyze that any further. Another motivation for CFI to come to Austin, to our town, right, to bring the professionalism and knowledge and authority that they have accumulated from decades of doing what they do and doing it well, right, and focusing on the real important issues. To attract them to Austin, another thing we can do is when we fold our two organizations together, and we've got this budget that we're sitting on. That's whoever's calling that cell phone, please hang up. Another thing we could do is we can say, well, look, we have this amount of money. We donate that to your effort to build a center in Austin. Right. Now, all this you'd think was fine and straightforward and reasonable. However, there's just been an email distributed by one of our fellow Atheist Community of Austin members, which is like this long 5-6-page rant, 8-page rant about how evil it is, this whole concept that we're selling out our members, that we're allying with non-atheists, that I just had Russell print the whole thing, and I don't know. We're certainly not going to read it, but
no.
And again,
we will probably post it on the website, or not. I don't know.
Yeah. And the person who wrote this, I don't know if we want to cross that line. Do we say who wrote it? Does it matter?
We don't need to.
Okay, we don't need to say. Those people that are in the ACA can easily find out who wrote this thing.
I would like to say, though, that the person who wrote this letter was extremely opposed to our starting up an internet audio show.
Opposed to starting the internet audio show, and when he served a 1-year stint on the board of directors, was, along with another guy who is thankfully gone, responsible for the most divisive and unpleasant year on the ACA board ever. Ever. But this rant attacks CFI for not calling themselves atheists, which is sort of like the main issue where I'm spinning into this from my previous discussions. Doesn't matter what term they use. They agree with us that it is important to look at the actual facts and believe whatever those facts indicate. And they've reached the same conclusions as us after having looked at the facts and deciding what those facts indicate, right? I mean, but that is one of the central issues here. Another issue is this whole idea that somehow, because we have an organization, the ACA, that therefore it's hurtful or damaging or a tragedy if that ceases to exist. This is all irrelevant, folks. This is all irrelevant. What matters is we're living in a country that is being taken over by Tim LaHaye, right? By people like that. That is the issue. Not whether we call ourselves atheists or brights or rationalists or humanists or skeptics.
The important thing is that we stop these crazy morons who want to take us over.
That is the important thing. And, it misses the entire point that CFI is an organization that is best positioned to be at the front of that battle. And we got that battle going on right here in Austin, Texas. We would like to have, it seems to me, those of us who understand what the hell's going on, would like to have the CFI have a presence in Austin, Texas, right? We want them here. Not only that, I want to be part of what they do. I've been part of what they do in the sense of leaving the ACA before to go focus on skeptical, scientific, rationalist issues.
Right.
That's what's important. Yeah, the whole atheist thing, yeah, that's great. I call myself an atheist proudly. I think that term is good for indicating what I am. If bright catches on, I'll call myself that. If people ask me about my philosophical views, it's generally clearer to say humanist. Right? I mean, all of those words are perfectly good. They're slightly different emphases and focuses, but they all talk about the same thing. We're all on the same side. And it just drove me crazy this morning to encounter this damn thing, which...
I'd like to read...
I'm not blaming Russell, but because he forwarded it to me.
I'd like to read what I think is the heart of this message.
Great.
It boils down to this, says this guy.
And we've revealed it's a guy now. You know, it could have been a woman.
Well, it wasn't.
It wasn't a woman.
The people who are against merging ACA are the people who want to keep our Constitution and bylaws and retain the ACA as an open democratic organization. These people are the ACA loyalists.
Oh,
the people in favor of relinquishing our rights via merger are the people who want to give up our constitutional rights and democracy in favor of expediency and rule by the CFI. These people are unwittingly enemies of the ACA.
Now let's explain what some of the things he's referring to in there, right? He's trying to make a case that the ACA's Constitution prohibits this. I've talked to other people who have read our Constitution who say it does not prohibit it. That's probably arguable.
But he wouldn't have known that because he didn't get involved in any of these meetings in which we hashed this out for hours and hours about what the Constitution does and doesn't allow, whether we're being taken advantage of.
Right. Plus, to me, you know, I don't frickin' care. I am very happy about the years that I have spent in the ACA meeting incredibly cool people like Russell here, right?
Thank you. And many of our other co-hosts who are very cool.
Yes, many, too many to list. All of you who are my friends, you know who I'm talking about. You know, that's all worth it. I'm glad that there has been an ACA. I think that it's a wonderful achievement. We've built one of the biggest and most successful local atheist organizations. I was proud to throw that in the faces of the frickin' Raelians when they tried to tell me that they were in charge of deciding whether this is a year of atheism or not, right? That's all fine. That's secondary to the issue. Our country is being taken over by irrational wackos. That is the issue. We need to do whatever it takes to put up the most effective resistance and to put on the most effective counter-assault to take our country back from these lunatics.
Plus, I don't think any of the stuff that you just mentioned as great things about the ACA are going to change.
Right. None of that will change.
The TV show is going to be around. This show is going to be around. The social meetings will be around.
Yeah. I also met incredibly cool people in the University Skeptical Society, you know, when I was focusing more on that. That is not the issue. So anyway, Russell and I, before the show, have already decided. We talked it over and decided that if CFI comes to Austin, but the ACA, because of efforts like this guy's with his 8-page rant about why we shouldn't do it because it's, you know, somehow going to hurt the people who are in the organization, you know, because they don't get to vote the way they used to, because they don't get to vote to directly influence the people who control the purse strings, or because the money that we've accumulated is going to now go to this particular effort to stop the takeover of our nation instead of the one we were kind of thinking of. You know, all those things, those are all incredibly terrible, according to him.
Yeah, I'm also sensing a bit of the idea where if you get a better idea, then and go with it, then you're automatically betraying the old, lesser idea.
Well, yeah.
It's somehow a betrayal. Well,
yeah. Anyway, I was going somewhere with this.
You go with the better
idea. The point
idea.
is, Russell and I have decided we want to take this show under the auspices of CFI.
Right.
It's been discussed what would happen.
If CFI is here, then we will be a CFI show, with or without the Atheist Community of Austin.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, I've already announced to other people on the board who were discussing this that, you know, my main reason for wanting CFI to come to town is I think they're freaking cool, and I think they're effective. And I have a limited amount of free time. If they come to Austin, I am going to be working with them.
Right.
And that is going to mean that I'm not working with the ACA because I got limited free time. And I would hate for my friendships with other ACA members to dwindle over time and eventually be lost, like my old friendships with cool people in the University Skeptical Society. I don't know where any of those people are anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Great folks. I wish they were still, I wish I was still in touch with them. So to me, the reason for merging the two together is we're all on the same side. I'd like us all to stay together, but I got to go where it looks like the most effective results are coming. So it was already discussed whether what would happen to this audio show or the ACA's TV show if we were to join CFI, and the plan was always, the response from CFI was always, well, you guys are doing good work, sure, I mean, keep doing that. So I don't see any reason why they'd have an objection to just getting the TV show. This is a symbolic declaration of we think this is a good idea. And we're saying this, like I said, because Russell and I are both going to miss out on the big group-wide discussion tomorrow, which is, we could announce that, right? That's 12:15 at the Austin History Center.
Yep.
Where we generally have our monthly lecture series. This time there's no lecturer. It's a big discussion of the CFI deal.
And anyone with an MP3 player who wants to bring this show with them is welcome to.
Yeah, and any of you out there listening who are in the ACA who have read this rant, ask yourself, are we here in order to have a particular kind of voting structure, or are we here because we are building a resistance against the forces of intolerance and irrationality? Which of those things are we? Why did we get together in the first place? Are we here so that we can have purse strings on a big chunk of money? It was cool getting the money, but the point of having the money is to do something with it. ACA isn't doing anything with it, and it doesn't look like they're going to do anything with it into the foreseeable future. That money could go toward building a CFI center or refurbishing a CFI center if they... I'm getting into details here. It's unclear exactly what form the building would take, but that there is an effort that could move to establish a center right here in Austin that would benefit every single one of us, be a much more effective voice in favor of the causes we all got involved in this for in the first place, and to finger point and call people traitors. Divide the ACA into us's and them's. The us's who care more about the name and independent existence of the ACA than they care about the actual cause that the ACA is for. I just think that's appalling. Appalling.
I got news. The us's who care about the ACA are the ones who have stayed on and stayed active and done things with them year after year and been in on these discussions about what our future is going to be like.
Yeah. Well, in defense of this guy, he was on the board that one time.
Yeah.
And
people voted against him after that.
That was a travesty, and I personally spearheaded an effort to see that we had enough other candidates that we could vote for people who would actually be helpful on the board instead of divisive the next time around. And luckily that worked, and he hasn't tried to get back on. Yeah, that's what it's all about. But in his defense, he's been with the organization a long time. That is true.
Actually, probably from the beginning.
Yeah, at least as long as me.
Yeah.
And longer if you consider I took a year and a half off to do something I thought was more effective. That's fine, but I think it all misses the point. I think that it's worrying about, which Indian tribe you're going to be a member of, instead of how are you going to stop the cavalry from wiping you all out.
Right.
So, in the interests of this idea that we're gonna be becoming a CFI related show, CFI events calendar.
Oh no!
Tomorrow, in at the CFI West Center in Hollywood, California. This is going to become a regular thing. I get the mailings from CFI from their campus effort that have these news things in them. tomorrow in West Hollywood, California, Hollywood, California, at the CFI West Center for Inquiry. DJ Grothy will be doing this talk at 11 a.m., highlighting current controversies such as the intelligent design movement, school prayer, religious movements that seek to replace the classical liberal arts curriculum, and controversies surrounding student activities fees. Secularist activist DJ Grothy will lecture about practical strategies for engaging in the current debate over the role of religion in public education. On the same day, at the Costa Mesa Community Center in Costa Mesa, California, DJ Grothy will be doing the same lecture at 4:30 p.m.
This is the Tim LaHaye lecture, or what?
No, proper role of religion in American life, like I just described. I know you were typing. On July 11th through July 25th, Summer Session 2004 at CFI International at Amherst, New York. Applications are currently being accepted for CFI's summer offerings, available to audit or for State University of New York undergraduate credit through Empire State College. And you can go to the website that we gave earlier for more information on that. July 23rd to 25th, CFI On-Campus Summer Conference at the CFI International Center in Amherst, New York. Want to get away this summer? Want to immerse yourself in a culture of learning, network with free-thinking students like yourself, find out new and innovative ways to promote your CFI On-Campus group, and have a lot of fun at the same time? Then sign up for CFI's Summer Conference 2004. For more information on all of these, go to their website, which again is www.centerforinquiry.net. Thank you, Russell.
And in response to a question from the chat room, if this goes through, no, we will not be changing our name. It will be the Atheist Community of Austin, branch of CFI. Or
the plan is right. Yeah, the plan is that the ACA becomes a program of CFI. Right. That's a
program of CFI.
Right, a program of CFI. So we continue to meet. We're like the social program of CFI Austin.
Right.
Is what we would be. Right. Using the facilities in their center that they're going to establish down here, and having access to all their other cool stuff. There's been talk of having some kind of media center in that building. We might be able to do this show.
You'd never hear Ben screaming in the background again.
That would be nice.
Or
all right.
Phones ringing.
Now on to the
Can
subject.
I do a super quick rundown of the news
we have a half an hour.
We have a half an hour, but I'd like to say that this was a huge week for news.
It was.
Reagan died. Rush Limbaugh announced his divorce.
Reagan died, and we had a party.
September 11th report commission. The September 11th commission made a huge report. Michael Newdow lost his case. Lots of stuff.
Now let's do some of those.
That's a preview of
Bush rejected calls to relax restrictions on stem cell research. Wow.
That bastard.
He signed an executive order on August 2001 that limited federal help to financing stem cell research on 78 embryonic stem cell lines then in existence. Because day-old embryos are destroyed when stem cells are extracted, the process is opposed by some conservatives who link it to abortion. Shortly before Reagan's death, presumptive Democratic presidential nominee John Kerry and 57 other senators asked Bush to relax the restrictions. Nancy Reagan has long argued that using stem cells from embryos could lead to cures for a number of diseases like the Alzheimer's that afflicted her husband. Now, I want to jump in right here and say a long-standing science fiction staple has been the idea of creepy old men managing to, hang around long term by becoming some kind of, science vampire. Right?
Right.
Like taking the life, sucking the life from living beings in order that they might go on. And this example of Reagan continuing to be coherent, that's one of them. That's an example of that.
But here we have
this
old fart saying no.
And for every one guy who'd be a hideous monster surviving on, cells taken from embryos,
I guess,
as if that was the same as, right? For every one of him, there's several thousand others who are perfectly decent human beings who don't deserve such a fate.
Right.
So that's nonsense. Plus, there's the whole question of, is an embryo life? Right? I mean, there's no absolute way to answer that question. We're going to have to draw some line and say, for practical purposes, this is where it's going to be.
Right.
And wherever we draw it, the fundamentalists are not going to be happy until you got life the instant that there's
the man has the woman's bra unhooked.
If I contract
That's
something...
right. You take off a woman's bra, you're obligated to have a child.
If I contract something that's going to kill me, and this stuff could have saved me, then Bush is trying to kill me.
Yeah.
Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Everybody who could have their lives improved or extended by this technology is being directly attacked by the Bush administration.
So Bush is a terrorist.
No.
He's trying to kill us.
No,
he's not trying to scare
he's not
you.
a terrorist, because if he was
you.
a terrorist, he'd say, I'm only going to let you have the stem cells if you do X. The whole point of terror is to get people to do something.
No.
They're not trying to get you to do something except die, but you're going to do that anyway.
Not if I have anything to say about it.
White House spokesman Scott McClellan said Bush continues to believe that his policy is the right one. Well, when has Bush ever... Now, I know he's waffled on a number of issues, but on these core Christian fundamentalist things, when has he ever changed his mind about anything? He doesn't.
He doesn't
because he knows he needs that fundamentalist vote. All right. So anyway, he's killing everybody that needs that medicine, including Reagan, who supposedly is the reason why right-wing asswipe like him is able to be in the White House at all in the first place. Okay. Somebody else?
Newdow.
Which one?
There's
a couple
with
of stories on him.
Court dismisses pledge case, because that's the important one.
Yeah.
This
case in point, folks.
Okay. This was a punt. Everybody has pretty much said. That was what Newdow himself said in an interview at CNN. The Supreme Court on Monday ruled that a California father could not challenge the Pledge of Allegiance, a decision that sidestepped the broader question of the separation of church and state. The 8-0 ruling by the High Court reversed a lower court decision that teacher-led recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance in public schools is unconstitutional. The case had been brought by an atheist who did not want his third-grade daughter to have to listen to the phrase "under God" in the oath. In a written statement, I don't know why they needed to throw that in this early, Attorney General John Ashcroft praised the ruling, saying it ensures the school children in every corner of America can start their day by voluntarily reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. 5 justices, led by Justice John Paul Stevens...
It doesn't.
But Newdow was never...
For now it does.
...attacking the idea of children saying the pledge per se. He was attacking under God in the pledge. We had a perfectly good pledge for a long time without those words.
Can't expect Ashcroft to understand.
No, and this is part of the reason why you're not...
I care whether they understand it or not. I care what words come out of their frickin' mouths.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're idiots.
The fact is, this was not an attack on the pledge.
5 justices, led by Justice John Paul Stevens, said Michael Newdow, the father, did not have the legal standing to bring the case. Newdow, who was involved in a custody dispute with the mother of their third-grade daughter, could not speak for the girl, the court ruled.
Right.
When hard questions of domestic relations are sure to affect the outcome, a prudent course is for the federal court to stay its hand rather than reach out to resolve a weighty question of federal constitutional law, wrote Stevens.
Yeah, well, if the thing could be contested on that technicality later, then I suppose the Supreme Court might have done the right thing.
Yeah, they did not. I have to point out they did not settle the question once and for all of whether forcing kids to say "under God" every day is constitutional.
It's not a triumph for the right.
But the other 3 justices, Rehnquist, O'Connor, and Clarence Thomas, argued that the court should have addressed the constitutional issue, and they said that the justices said that the pledge does not violate the First Amendment.
Yeah, I've read analyses of the commentary from this decision, and a lot of people are saying, and I haven't read it myself, so I can only report what I've read. A lot of people are saying that beyond this question of standing, that all of the justices expressed the opinion that this would have been found constitutional. That's what I've read. I need to read. That's just commentary. Now that could be spin, right?
Yeah, commentary from where?
I don't know.
Net Daily, maybe.
Various places. I didn't pay that much attention to the source at the time. I was quickly putting my news stories together. So anyway, I mean that the thing is, it needs to get challenged again. Yeah, even if that, no matter what they wrote in there, what's really going to matter is what the final ruling is, and it needs to be challenged again, and they need to be not given this easy out.
Which is
so they
why
can actually do their frickin' jobs.
You need to pay attention when the Brights ask you if you are a parent to get involved with this issue yourself.
Yes.
Go Brights.
Go Brights. They were doing a good thing. Dennis? What you got?
Oh, let's see. Got some strange stuff from the White House is apparently pissed off that Time magazine revealed Cheney's secret bunker. Top White House officials expressed anger that Time magazine detailed the location of Vice President Dick Cheney's secret bunker, the Drudge Report has learned.
There's a reliable news source.
Okay. In new editions, Time revealed Site R, an underground bunker on the Maryland-Pennsylvania border, where the Vice President spent much of his time in 2001. Time wrote, deep under Raven Rock Mountain, Site R is a secret world of 5 buildings, each 3 stories tall, computer-filled caverns, and a subterranean water reservoir. It's just 7 miles from Camp David. Raven Rock Mountain is easily found using basic geographical maps. One White House official fumed Monday night, Time magazine would have revealed the secret location of Anne Frank if they knew it. Now, the only reason this is particularly amusing is that in another article from 2002,
that's
titled
2 years ago.
2 years ago, Shaken and Quaken Under Cheney's Crib. Cheney's home sending bad vibration, construction blasts have D.C. folks shuddering and speculating. One man thought the noise was a sonic boom. Another guessed it was hearing rolling thunder. When a woman feared it was a bomb or an earthquake, she called the police, but they had no answers either. No one in Massachusetts Avenue Heights neighborhood of Northwest Washington knows what's going on at the house of their neighbor, the Vice President of the United States. But one thing is certain, they're tired of the daily blasting at the Naval Observatory that has shaken houses, rattled windows, and knocked mirrors off walls. So, basically...
then the article goes on to say, they're making an underground bunker for the Vice President.
Right. So 2 years
before this big expose by Time magazine,
right?
It was already public record.
Pretty much known.
Amazing. Here's something that may not be public record.
Yeah.
I have this week's Weekly World News with a cover story. Shocking CIA leak reveals Dick Cheney is a robot.
That would explain a lot.
There was something odd about that guy.
Vice President Dick Cheney is a robot, and we've got the photograph that proves it. And there's the photograph.
There it is.
There's the phograph right there.
It doesn't look photoshopped at all.
He's holding his shirt open, and there's a flap of skin rolled up, and there's a circuit board right under the skin.
You know, I bet a technical enough guy could actually identify what circuit board that is.
The stark black and white picture clearly shows Cheney with a flap of skin folded away from his chest, revealing a hidden matrix of wires, transistors, circuit boards, and solder spots that enable him to move, speak, and think almost as if he were human.
Good thing he's secure enough in his robotness to let somebody take a picture of that.
Yeah.
But the so-called Cheney bot isn't perfect. Boy, I could have told you that. Sources say the machine's engineers were unable to give it emotions and compassion, which makes it as coldly logical as the android Data on Star Trek The Next Generation. But I'm not sure Data would have been behind the whole let's invade without a shred of evidence that there's any reason to invade Iraq. Yeah. Cheney has also been compared to women in the new Stepford Wives movie, trapped in the past like an obedient 1950s housewife, unable to learn from his experiences and grow. They don't call him a neoconservative for nothing. He really does act like he just stepped out of the 1950s. You can easily visualize him with "I like Ike" and "drop the big one" buttons dangling off his sharkskin jacket, said the CIA source who leaked the photograph in a fit of pique over the robot's harsh, behind-the-scenes criticisms of the intelligence agency's weaknesses and failings.
Cool.
The damn thing is smart, I'll give it that. But who wouldn't be if his brain were a state-of-the-art computer with round-the-clock wireless access to the internet? But being smart isn't the be-all and end-all, as we found out in Iraq. Cheney pushed hard for the war because all he could see was American military might crushing Saddam like a bug, and then he thought everybody would live happily ever after. What he couldn't understand then, and what he doesn't understand now, is people have human needs he knows nothing about.
Cool.
So there you go.
There's another way. There's another way I can think of in which Cheney is like a robot, which is that he's shown a marked inability to learn and adapt to new information, such as the fact that there is no...
Like the Stepford Wives, they mentioned that.
Yeah, well, and
he's given evidence
in particular, the fact that as recently as Monday, Dick Cheney said that Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein had long established ties with Al-Qaeda, which even President Bush said months ago that we've had no evidence that they were involved at all. But the bigger news is that
you mean the actual news?
Yes. No, that is actual news. That Dick Cheney is still saying that.
Well, didn't the Bush family
established a relationship?
Didn't the Bush family have connections with Osama bin Laden?
Yes.
Well, then.
With his family.
Obviously, we can draw our conclusions.
We'll all get the facts when
Michael Moore's
new film,
end of this month.
Fahrenheit 9/11.
Yeah.
Yes. Continue with the real news.
The real news is that the September 11th panel, this big commission that's been interviewing people for a while, has come out with a great big report, which was basically a timeline of what happened on September 11th and how it happened. And in that report, bluntly contradicting the Bush administration, the commission investigating the September 11th attacks reported Wednesday that there was no credible evidence that Saddam Hussein had ties with Al-Qaeda. In a chilling report that sketched the history of Osama bin Laden's network, the commission said his far-flung training camps were apparently quite good. Terrorists-to-be were encouraged to think creatively about ways to commit mass murder, it added. As devastating as the September 11th attacks were, the commission disclosed that an earlier, more ambitious plan called for hijacking 10 planes instead of 4. The target list for such a strike ranged from coast to coast, including the CIA and FBI headquarters, as well as unidentified nuclear plants and tall buildings in California and Washington state.
Jeez.
Bin Laden made overtures to Saddam for assistance, the commission said, as he did with leaders in Sudan, Iran, Afghanistan, and elsewhere in his drive to build an Islamic army. While Saddam dispatched a senior Iraqi intelligence official to Sudan to meet with bin Laden in 1994, the commission said it had not turned up evidence of a collaborative relationship. So basically what happened is Al-Qaeda spammed a whole bunch of different people.
Right.
They went after a whole lot of people and asked for support.
Right.
And this commission has now said that there is no indication that Saddam ever responded to that request.
Mm-hmm.
So, and yet, if you listen to what the conservatives have been saying all week, Limbaugh, Hannity, the usual suspects, what they've been saying is they said that Osama got in touch with Saddam Hussein. See, there's a relationship there. That's like saying that I have a relationship with Pizza Hut, even if I never order a pizza from them, because I get junk in the mail that gives me Pizza Hut coupons.
Right. You're accepting those coupons, dude. You're in there with the Pizza Hut guys.
And we have much better evidence of a strong relationship between the Bush White House and Saddam Hussein.
Yes.
Than anything between Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, but damn those humanists.
Yeah.
Damn those humanists for not calling themselves atheists.
Right.
Because that's the important thing.
If you would like
the important thing is we all use exactly the same terms to describe our lack of belief in any gods.
Yeah. If you would like to read this report yourself, you can go to www.911commission.gov and check out the recent edition, which is Staff Statement number 15. It's really interesting.
Dennis, have you got any more?
Not really.
Well, I know you've got...
I got spam.
You got spam?
Yeah, from people wanting me to pray for China.
You did. So you got a relationship.
So I've got a connection with people praying for China.
But hold off on that, because I know that Russell has... Just a second. We'll do that right after.
What's that?
I know you just mentioned Rush Limbaugh.
Rush Limbaugh.
Rush Limbaugh's been in the news, hasn't he?
Rush Limbaugh has been in the news.
Mr. Family Values.
That's right.
Where did I put it? Sorry.
You're rifling papers.
Yes, just like Rush Limbaugh. Hold on. I didn't put a big enough headline on this page.
Stereo. Well?
What the hell?
He disappeared? Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot find Rush Limbaugh.
Hell of a thing to lose.
Can we read something else?
I guess. Go ahead, Dennis, while he tries to find his story that would have been perfect right now.
I found it.
Oh, he found it. I'm cut off again.
God, we may be fooling ourselves and thinking that CFI is going to have the slightest interest in this horrible show.
Rush Limbaugh ending his third marriage.
Huh.
Wow. But how can that be?
Conservative radio host Rush Limbaugh said on Friday that he and his third wife, Marta, have mutually decided to end their marriage of 10 years. A statement issued through Los Angeles-based public relations firm Citric & Company said that the Limbaughs have separated pending an amicable resolution. It was not clear whether either party had formally filed for divorce.
He's destroying the sanctity of marriage.
Yeah.
I know what it was. It was gay marriage.
You think so?
Gay marriage destroyed his marriage.
Gay marriage destroyed Rush Limbaugh's marriage! I know what you can talk about next. Okay.
Limbaugh and his third wife, a former aerobics instructor that he met on the internet, were married in May 19... Oh, wait a minute.
Former aerobics instructor he met on the internet. It's good to see the aerobics were doing him so much good.
Yeah. Well, it didn't say she instructed him. She just married him. And
they would have taken instructions from a woman anyway.
A lot of people have made fun of the fact that he met his wife on the internet. And the fact is I met Ginny on the internet, so I'm not going to go there.
But how's the marriage going?
Great.
Okay.
There we go.
Right. Nor are you setting yourself up as the prognosticator of...
No. Plus, we lived in sin.
You're non-prognosticators.
Do you feel any pressure from the homosexual community to destroy your marriage?
Yeah, absolutely.
You do.
In fact, I've been thinking about marrying... Sorry. I hadn't meant to tell you this, Jeff. But,
yes?
I've been
You've made him the happiest producer in the world.
Oh, I can't go on.
Where is this story actually going?
No, you got it.
Okay, great.
Never mind, I rescind my request.
Now, Dennis and I caught an episode of South Park the other day. We were, by the way, not having gay sex at the time.
No. But we were proud to note that the show fostered it. So that was good.
In this episode of South Park,
right?
There's illegal immigrants.
Illegal immigrants from the future coming to the past to find jobs,
to find work,
because the future is so overpopulated that there's no jobs.
Right.
And so the people in South Park, the displaced workers go, they're taking our jobs. And so they concoct a plan to destroy the future, make sure the future doesn't happen.
Right. And making sure there's no babies.
Right. By
becoming gay.
By becoming gay and having a big orgy.
Okay.
Ew. Ew was the word to use for that episode. It was great.
This article does not mention, or this article also mentions that he's been having those drug problems, which, you can speculate about as one thing. Another thing that Randy Rhodes on Air America said, I think she was cracking a joke, but it was a good conspiracy theory also, was that, this is almost exactly 10 years to the day that they got married. And she says, I'll bet you they had a prenup that specified something about 10 years.
Ooh, yeah, I'll bet.
Interesting.
I
guess, if you're...
It sounds like a cynical...
Is there any indication that Limbaugh's on the way out?
What?
Are there indications that Limbaugh's on the way out?
You mean
heard
other
anything?
Than the fact that he's a druggie and that he's getting divorced?
That's never stopped anybody in Hollywood. I'm curious. I mean, is his listenership going down? Is he?
No, I have not.
Are the other fascist Republicans not returning his phone calls? What's going on with him?
Is everybody lapping up what he's saying, despite the fact that he's now a total fucking hypocrite
and a washout?
Yeah, I'm just curious because
what does it take?
It would be if you were married to Rush Limbaugh, right? And you saw...
the imagery, no!
Okay, I'll marry you, Jeff. That's over the line.
If you were married to Rush Limbaugh and you saw his, empire... beginning to crumble... that would be a good reason to, divorce him immediately and take what you could before it all goes away. Yeah. All right.
If you were cynically there only for the money...
Speaking of cold, heartless bitches, what? And I wasn't really. I'm sure she's a very nice woman. Ted Williams' body to stay in cryonics lab. We've covered this story a bit on this show. Ted Williams, famous baseball player, his daughter and son-in-law signed. His son and daughter arranged for him to be chronically frozen based on a agreement that they'd all made together before his death.
Okay.
Only he had another estranged daughter who was not listed in his will, who saw this as an excellent opportunity to make a play for some of his estate.
Mm-hmm.
The daughter and son-in-law of Ted Williams signed a settlement Tuesday agreeing that they will no longer try to get the baseball icon's remains out of a cryonics lab in Arizona. And by the way, I want to praise the reporter who wrote this story for saying cryonics and not cryogenics.
Mm-hmm.
Cryogenics is a real thing, but it's not cryonics. Cryonics is the procedure of freezing things to cease biological function and then unfreeze them later and get them going again.
Right.
Cryogenics is just,
something different.
It's something different. Bobby Joe and Mark Farrell also agreed to no longer object or encourage others to object to Williams' remains being cryonically preserved.
Good.
The Farrells had been trying to get Williams' remains removed from the Alcor Life Extension Foundation in Scottsdale, Arizona. Well, that's a lie, Pee-wee. Mm-hmm. They were trying to get money from the people who had arranged for his remains to be so preserved.
It's expensive currently, yeah.
Williams' estate sued the Farrells on May 10 after they sued Alcor, demanding the company produce paperwork showing that Williams wanted his remains frozen at the facility. Again, they're not after that paperwork so they could get him unfrozen. They're after that paperwork because they think that it's a way of arguing that he didn't sign up for it, and so his remains were mistreated, and so we should get some money.
Right.
After Tuesday's settlement, Al Cassidy, the executor of Williams' estate, agreed to drop his litigation. Their ultimate goal had been to recover Williams' body for cremation, which they say were his last wishes. Again, bullshit. It's over, and it's over forever, said Peter Sutton, the attorney for Williams' estate. The Farrells have signed an agreement, and judges have very little tolerance if you violate injunctions. Alcor stores human bodies and severed heads in vats of liquid nitrogen in the hope that someday science will be able to bring the dead to life. The whole severed head thing, for anybody not familiar with cryonics, the point is to preserve your identity into the future, not necessarily all of your limbs and organs.
Right.
This has been parodied on things like Futurama, but the plan is that, if you can preserve your brain, that's your identity. We could put that in any kind of, cloned body or robot body or whatever, right? I mean, the options are open as long as your identity is preserved.
Right. Here's an interesting note from Denshu in the chat room, and forgive me if this is a repeat of something I already said. According to Google, cryogenics is materials which exist at extremely low temperatures, such as liquid nitrogen.
Okay.
So it's especially dumb when they refer to it as cryogenics.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that information. Upon Williams' death in July 2002 in Florida, his 35-year-old son, John Henry Williams, had his father frozen at the Alcor facility. The controversy sparked a family dispute between John Henry Williams and Farrell and cast a national spotlight on the cryonics organization. John Henry Williams died of leukemia in March, and his body, reportedly, is also being stored at Alcor's Scottsdale facility. Now, apart from the science angle on this, right? So maybe you're thinking this is a kind of tenuous connection to atheism. Statements from John Williams' former teammates indicated that he was an atheist.
Yeah.
The whole cryonics procedure is something that doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you're a believer in an afterlife.
Right.
Right? Because then what do you need to keep your body around for? Your identity goes wafting off into a happy
heaven or
land.
Hell or wherever,
Right, where it gets to survive eternally. This is life extension, and this makes sense to people who don't believe that life's going to get extended for free just because there's a big invisible man in the sky.
Yeah. Life extension via not dying.
We've had a rollicking show today, folks. Thank you very much for listening. Sorry we got a little late start. There were some technical problems which Russell bravely and manfully was able to overcome. And I'll be talking with him about that in private later, how impressed I was.
I am so over you, man.
And what do we got? We got like a minute left?
Yeah.
Stern wages anti-Bush campaign.
Wait a minute.
What?
The Chinese guys.
Oh, the Chinese guys.
Pray for China.
Pray for China.
We are humbled and amazed by what God has done in his awesome ministry of supplying the fuel for nearly 25,000 prayer warriors worldwide.
Go prayer warriors.
Prayer
what
warriors.
Is this? Why pray for China at all? Did they say what's wrong with China?
No.
To my knowledge, China is like the single biggest nation on Earth. It's got the hugest population. They're doing fine. What is the problem?
It is our goal to keep you informed of current events and how they affect the churches in China.
So it's not China they're having you pray for.
It is our prayer.
It's churches in China.
Many have told us that they were enriched by being able to pray more focused and urgently because of this prayer letter. It's insane.
You prayed
no freaking idea.
Because I knew you were praying for me, I was able to pray better myself.
Yeah, the guy.
You people get over yourselves.
And
lucky China. Yeah, there we go.
Just to throw it out real quick, Stern has waged a big anti-Bush campaign.
That's Howard Stern?
Yes, Howard Stern.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Has said, I'm asking you to do me one favor. Vote against Bush. I call on all fans of the show to vote against Bush, he said on the air.
Said on the air?
He's on some, satellite or something? I don't know.
So he still has a show, just not the show that he was kicked off of. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. We will leave you with the music and see you in 2 weeks.
Bye, everyone. Bye.